here we go again. Hopefully, buying the new computer that I earlier in the episode, in 379, the original one, will help break down the stupid connection is unstable things that I've been having problems with these last few weeks. So here we are again with another two-part episode, and when I was so close to being finished, so I figured this one's only going to last about 20 minutes or so. So if that, so we'll blow through these again. So for those who don't know, I've been having this issue with connection being unstable. Sometimes it only takes 40 minutes. In this case, it took an hour and 15 minutes. I was so hoping that I wouldn't have to deal with that. There have been times where I haven't to deal with it at all, but now it seems like it keeps getting worse and worse. So I'm going to go back and hit some of the ones that I missed from the previous episode that was while the connection was all frazzled. Evander Holyfield wants to fight Mike Tyson again. Mike Tyson came back into the ring last week. His fight ended in a draw, but he got excited about the idea of fighting again. Evander Holyfield, who's just as old as Tyson is, says, hey, we should do it again. Remember, though, back in the early days, Evander Holyfield was the one whose ear that Mike Tyson bit off a portion of during one of their matches as well. Apparently, they've reconciled since then, and they're excited to do this. So we'll probably see a Holyfield Tyson 3 coming soon. I was talked about in the previous episode. I talked about the monoliths that appear all over the world. Well, now you have to watch out for phallus statues. Yes, phalluses that look like dicks is now a thing. As a couple of statues appeared in the Bavarian mountains. So weird. Okay. Game of Thrones spinoff starts filming in 2021. Scientists discovered the first animal that doesn't breathe oxygen to live as well. Lord of the Rings cast is crowdfunding to buy J.R. Tolkien's home and turn it into a literary center. SpaceX is saying that the first crewed mission to Mars could come as early as 2024, which is amazing if that can in fact happen. Shoes that look like plants that were created by an artist is the newest thing in footwear now. Tents for cats, if you want to take your cat on a camping trip or have a little playhouse for them, there are now tents available for cats. They're just cat size. And that's all the stuff that you might have missed previously. And Swiss Miss Peppermint hot cocoa mix is another thing as well. So that's stuff you might have missed. So we're going to continue on with DuckTales. The reboot of DuckTales is going to be ending after season 3. David Tennant was the voice of Scrooge McDuck in that one, and that was the most famous thing about that. Starbucks is back with another Frappuccino that tastes like a Ferrero Rocher, which is one of those fancy chocolates. So if you want to get one of those, it's on the secret menu, I think, as well. Cinnamon bun cake mix and frosting from Pillsbury is now a thing also. So if you want the cinnamon bun flavors, you can now get it in cakes and frostings. Studio Ghibli, those brought you My Neighbor Totoro, Princess Mononoke, Kiki's Delivery Service, Howl's Moving Castle, all those types of movies. They have all been hand-drawn by Hayao Miyazaki and his crew since they came out, and they've never done a CGI animated film like Disney Pixar one. And like the Frozens and stuff like that. Until now, their newest film, Earwig and the Witch, Earwing, and the Witch, which will be coming out next year, is a first CGI animated film from Ghibli Studios. So that might be interesting to check out to see how that looks. John Mulaney, who's one of my daughter's favorite comedians, is being investigated by the Secret Service over jokes he made when he hosted Saturday Night Live a few weeks ago. So that's interesting. Red Velvet Pop-Tarts are coming back, but it's Red Velvet Pop-Tarts was a thing. My kids loved it. My wife loved it. Then they disappeared. Now they have them rebranded as Red Velvet Cupcake Pop-Tarts. They'll be coming back soon. So if you're into that type of stuff, you can get and grab that. Hunter is shot after being mistaken for a deer. That happens, you think, but that's why you wear your reflective stuff and so on and so forth as well. Mummies have been discovered in the Arctic. That's kind of an interesting thing to think about, that mummification could have happened. You thought might have only been in Egypt, but has also been discovered in the Arctic. That's kind of an interesting thing, and that's to be continued. A tiny town in Australia actually sitting on a piece of ancient North America. Remember when at one time all the continents were one big island called Pangaea, and eventually they broke off? Well, apparently this small town in Australia is actually sitting on a piece of ancient North America. That's kind of a fascinating thing to look at and think about as well. A new pygmy seahorse has been discovered, and it's the first of its kind in Africa, so it's always neat to find new species of creatures popping up all the time. Peter Dinklage of Game of Thrones fame, I talked about a Game of Thrones story earlier in this supplementary episode, has been brought in as part of the cast of the Toxic Avenger reboot about a guy who falls into a janitor who falls into nuclear waste and gets weird, deformed, and weird powered. All kinds of crazy stuff happens after that. Hong Kong Disneyland is closing down again due to COVID. They opened up when their COVID cases weren't as bad, and now they are closing back down now that they're going back up again. Jason Blum of Blumhouse, who I always talk good things about because he's able to make money off of his horror movies because he spends very little money on them. They're actually, a lot of them are really, really good, and he makes money because they're done very cheaply. He has COVID-19, so he's recovering from that as well. George Clooney has cut his hair for years with Flobies. Oh, I forgot to talk about those too. I'll talk about those in a second. I'll come back to those. Just have to remember that. Lay's potato chips have a new flavor coming out called Game Day Chili. So that's always interesting about that. There's an Oreo cookie candle out now that smells like Oreo cookies. A rare 9-legged octopus. The octopus itself says 8. It's about an 8-legged creature, but a 9-legged octopus has been found by Japanese fishermen. That's interesting to see. A dinosaur egg candle, light it, it melts to reveal a baby dinosaur inside the candle. It's kind of creepy looking, to be honest. Told you that David Prowse, who was the body of Darth Vader, passed away earlier this week in the previous episode that I did today before the technical issues. Apparently the Darth Vader helmet that he wore had disappeared for a long time, has finally been recovered. So that's been found. Soap dispensers that have soap mixed with Dr. Pepper, Mountain Dew, and Pepsi are now available. So you can now use soap that has actual soda that you might like in it. A rare white penguin was spotted in the Galapagos Islands. It's always fun to find out new things. Like I said, the rare 9-legged octopus and the white penguin is now interesting. An Amazon delivery person was fired for stealing a PS5 from a child. And a woman sells her husband's PS5 after he claims that he bought a dehumidifier and not a PS5 because he said he was supposed to buy one, but he did anyway. And then he lied to his wife saying that he bought a dehumidifier instead. I talked about the Swiss Miss Peppermint Hot Cocoa. Well, Dairy Queen has a Peppermint Hot Cocoa Blizzard now for your holiday perusal. The Japanese's oldest zoo debuted their first baby elephant ever born in their 138-year-old history. The first time ever a baby elephant was born in their zoo happened this week. Hawaii offers free round trips to remote workers who want to live there. So if you decide you want to move to Hawaii and you can be a remote worker, Hawaii will pay for your round trip to Hawaii. You're going to have to buy a house and live in Hawaii, and that's one of the stipulations. But hey, free trip to Hawaii if you decide to do that. Prehistoric rock art has been discovered in Colombia and has been called the apple of the ancients. So it must be a really good some history of art and stuff like that from the old days. Actress Ellen Page, who came out as a lesbian. I thought she came out as gay a couple years ago, has now determined that she actually is transgender and is a he, and is going to start uh, I can't think of the proper word, but transitioning into a male, and her name is now Elliot Page, and he's now a he. So Elliot Page will still be a member of the Umbrella Academy show, and will still be playing a female role, but actor named Elliot Page. So good for him in doing that, and shining a light on transgender and showing that it's not crazy and weird, and that kind of a famous actor. I mean, Elliot Page was nominated for Juno, and was Kitty Pryde as well in the X-Men movie. So has done some, is kind of famous for and has done some other things as well. So congratulations to him and his family. Home Depot is selling a Christmas tree that actually snows and plays music. And I kind of want to get one because I think it'd be kind of cool, though I think the snowing part would probably make a big mess in your house. So I don't know. I could be wrong. Jane Lynch and Cyndi Lauper are discussing creating an update of and those two starring in it would be fantastic. And you get two more like sort of actresses who aren't old, but are old enough to be in the Golden Girls that could be just as funny, could be a very clever and interesting show. So it has to be continued. Finally, this week, as I talked about last week, was a big week for computer stuff. Fortnite's main event happened on December 1st. Final event for their season happened on December 1st. It was a Marvel season, and Galactus was a threat for the island on Fortnite, and you've been fighting as Marvel characters and as also regular Fortnite people. Well, now Galactus arrived at the island during the big event, and Iron Man had built battle buses for everybody on the island, and they were filled with bombs. And so if you were lucky enough to get into the final battle, were able to fly around and take on Galactus during the battle. And then you were transported out as Galactus exploded. But it released the 0 point, which is what makes the Fortnite Island, and has turned the map around a little bit. And the new season started on Wednesday, the 2nd of December, and is now sort of a bounty hunter sort of season now. The first new skin on Fortnite was the Mandalorian, and you get a Baby Yoda, or Gorgu now, as the baby is known as, back bling once you reach level 100. I'm presently level 37, so I got a ways to go, but the season's got a long way to go. There's been lots of changes. No more Marvel POIs, points of interest, on the map. Some of the old, season 1s and 2 stuff has combined with the present season stuff to create hybrid locations. There's a big giant desert now in the center of the island with all kinds of weird crystals that when you break them up and you eat them, you get into this really sort of fast, quick move, which is really, really cool to use. They vaulted some weapons and brought some old ones back, the P90, the charged shotgun, and the heavy artillery AR rifle is now out and about. There's new skins you can get. New things where you can actually get bounties put on your head and hunted down by other players personally, or you can go after personal players as well. You can also upgrade your weapons to a exotic format, which is the highest level you can get. It's going to cost you gold bars, which is something else. You get gold bars now when you kill people and you wreck stuff and you open chests and stuff like that. So you want to build them up and use them for certain things, and just all kinds of neat things. So as I said, I'm only level 37. I think my son might be close to 40. We've had a couple of victory royales. I haven't had one personally, but my son, I have had at least 3, and we've had a lot of top 5 finishes. So we're getting back in the swing of stuff. So it's been an interesting season. We've got the Christmas Winterfest coming up probably closer to Christmas. You'll see that probably, the week of Christmas, but that's that you're already starting to see some of the holiday skins in the shop. So that's something to keep an eye out for as well. So the Fortnite's doing really well, and a Galactus event was a success, and my son was able to get in and do that. So it was kind of cool. And finally, Gen 6 for Pokemon Go have been released. Not every one of them is out there, but you can start getting a lot of the Gen 6 Pokemon now. You have new tasks you have to do to level up to level 50, which is now the highest level you can get to. And not only do you have to get XP, but you also have to do certain research items to advance. My wife just advanced to level 41. She finished those research tasks. It's not easy stuff. It's like catch 200 Pokemon in one day and do 30 raids and stuff like that. So it's going to take some time. Now the XP stuff, if you've been playing, my wife and I became level 40 about a year or so ago. So we reached the pinnacle of our stuff at that point. But your XP still builds while you're playing. So now we have a lot of XP. So now that you have to do XP and these tasks, it's going to be a little bit easier, for us to level up, because we won't have to grind as much because we've been constantly playing. So we built up a bunch of XP. So they will take the XP that we built up and add it to the levels. You just have to finish this stuff like that. That's why my wife was able to advance to 41 so quickly. So we'll see what happens. But that's interesting. That again, much like with Fortnite, the Christmas event, which is always a fun one, is going to be coming soon to Pokemon Go as well. And I think that is it for today. Now, again, upset that we had more technical issues, technical stupidity as it was. But that's the episode. We are done. Episode 379. Happy KrampusNacht in America. It's not even midnight yet, so it's still KrampusNacht. So happy Nacht to you all. Next week is my daughter's 14th birthday weekend. Again, don't know when the episode will air, if it will air on my daughter's birthday or if it will be on Sunday or Friday. Haven't decided yet, but I'll look out for that. So have a good rest of the week. Christmas is now less than 3 weeks away, and the New Year is less than 4 weeks away. 20 days of Christmas. Let's see, that would be 28 days to the New Year. So it's getting close to the end. So we'll see what happens. So that, I'm done. Pissed off that this 17, 18-minute bit that I couldn't connect to the main episode. Now I gotta, oh well, it's not up to you. Don't worry about it. Have fun, be safe, and we'll see you soon. Wear your damn mask.